Welcome to Speech Sounds, the phonemes of English, and we'll start with vowels. However, first a few words about pronunciation in the classroom. Rule number 1, speak English in class. Rule number 2, expose learners to as much English as possible. Rule number 3, encourage learners to listen to as much English as possible. Perhaps even more important is this: correct pronunciation mistakes gently. Don't stop anyone who tries to say something to you by pointing out the wrong vowel sound or an unvoiced S where there should be a voiced one. Remember, communication is the main goal. We should be much more interested in what people say than how they say it. When that's said, of course, we can point out pronunciation patterns. We can point out and, not least, practice difficult sounds, intonation patterns, rhythm patterns, etc. So these are the phonemes or the speech sounds of English then. You remember how there are 44 speech sounds but only 26 letters. And we'll see how one and the same letter can result in many different speech sounds, phonemes, as we go on. We'll look at the vowel phonemes, the ones to the left here first. Vowels are defined as follows. With vowels, there's no friction or obstruction of the airstream. So, air from the lungs escapes freely over the center of the tongue. All vowels are voiced. You can feel the voice if you feel your the vibration in your Adam's apple. And all vowels occupy a central position in a syllable, such as la, ah. Ah is the main sound there, and that's of course why we like to have vowels when we sing. Now, the vowel diagram may need a bit of explanation. The terms front, close, open, back refer to the cavity in the mouth and the tongue's position in the mouth. So if the front of the tongue is up close towards the palate, we talk about the front close vowel, such as E. If the back of the tongue is very low and the mouth is open, ah, we talk about a back open vowel. And this translates then into this diagram. Front close, E, the front of the tongue is close to the front of the palate, E. If you lower your tongue, the front of your tongue, E, ah. Yeah. You get a more open vowel in ah. Now, if you focus on the back of your tongue and you keep that quite up towards the top of your mouth, the palate, oo, oh, ah, oo, oh, ah. In the middle, you have some central vowels, ah, and they're the reference there then is to the fact that the tongue is positioned centrally in the mouth. These are the monophthongs. Mono means one, so these vowels consist of just one vowel sound. And as I said, E is produced with the front of the tongue close to the top of the mouth, top of the palate. E, a, u, o, centrally. Now, notice how some of these phonemes in this chart have a circle around them. That means they are slightly rounded. However, they're only slightly rounded. We'll come back to that. Norwegians are very good at rounding their lips because of the distinction between a, o, etc. Now, in English, there's no need to round your lips that much, so that's something you may want to be aware of. You say o, with much less lip rounding than you do in Norwegian. Now, diphthongs can also be placed in this chart. These are called closing because the movement, a diphthong then first of all consists of two vowel sounds, and there's a movement from one sound to another. You see the movement is towards a closer position. That's why they're called closing diphthongs. A, I, oi, o, ow. You keep closing your mouth a little bit as you say these. Centering diphthongs the tongue moves towards a more central position, such as in yeah, wah. Let's look at the monophthongs first in some more detail. E is a long vowel, I is a short vowel, and these are two different phonemes in English, and exchanging one for the other may bring about a change in meaning, as you see in these minimal pairs. Minimal pairs are word pairs that differ in terms of one phoneme only. So you get a difference in meaning if you say sheep or ship, seat, sit, feel, fill, heat, hit. Now, one thing that you may want to be aware of is the fact that Norwegian E is much closer than the most speakers of English, the way they say E. You may hear Norwegian speakers of English say, she is keen on skiing. He's reading a piece from his history book. We have a very close E in Norwegian. Often in English it's much more relaxed. She's keen on skiing. Lower your tongue a little bit when you say that. Just be a bit more relaxed. She's keen on skiing. He's reading a piece from his history book. Now, I mean, this is not a very important thing, but it's something that you may want to be aware of. The long E can be spelled in a number of different ways, and this indicates why it's very useful to know the phonemic symbols. Some words are spelled with E, complete, even, Japanese, etc. You have EA, as in deal, eat, lead. Double E, as in agree, feel, feed. EI, as in ceiling, deceive, receive. I, as in gasoline, liter, magazine. IE, as in achieve, believe. EY, as in key. EO, as in people. And even OE, as in Oedipus phoenix. Short E can also be spelled in a number of different ways. I, as in bring, consist. E, as in 11, electric. Y, as in busy, crystal. Beware of this one. It's easy for us Norwegians since we're used to saying E. There's no such sound in English. It's busy, crystal, merry, lyrics, mystery, symbol, sympathy, system, typical, tyranny. IE is another spelling, Annie, auntie, and EY as in honey, hockey, journey. E can be spelled like E, except bed, connect, every. EA, bread, breakfast. A, any, many. IE, friend. AI, said. AY, says. And you, Barry. Now, is not a big problem for most of us. However, beware if you come across people from the west coast of Norway, they may have a tendency to make the too open. Now you know what that is, don't you? If is too open, it becomes yeah. And you may hear there were 10 in the bed, 10 in the bed, 10 in the bed. Make the close enough. Then we're with A. A is very often spelled with A, such as in add, apple, bad, family, etc. Note how A is used much more in American English than in British English. And here are some of the many words that are pronounced with an A in most British accents, with an A in American English accents. After, answer, ask, bath, castle, chance, class, command, contrast, dance, demand, disaster, draft, example, fast, glass, grass, last, master, blah, blah. All of these would be pronounced with an A in most British-like accents: after, answer, ask, bath, castle, chance, class, command, etc. Now let's look at the back monophthongs. Remember, the back of the tongue is doing most of the work with these. Oo, ah, ah. Sound is produced in the back of the mouth. Oo is long, is short. And again, these are two different phonemes in English. Full, full, pull, pull. The trick here is to not make and too narrow, to front too much lip rounding. Again, we Norwegians are very good at rounding our lips. Put your foot into the shoe. Can you feel how you're very good at doing that? Now in English this isn't necessary. You simply relax your lips and you say, put your foot into the shoe. Look at these two books. They're good. Good. You don't have to say books are good. Books are good. With these two, there's also an issue with lip rounding. It's easy to think of them as o and o, long o and short o. Again, you don't have to round your lips that much. Anyway, o is long, o is short. And you can hear the difference here, as in caught, caught, naughty, naughty, port, pot. Have you been naughty or nice? Asks Santa Claus. However, attention, those of you who speak with a slight American accent or a broad American accent, or if you listen to somebody who speaks with an American accent, you may want to know this. The long "aw" is used much less in North American than in British and British-like accents. In North American accents, "aw" is used only when it's followed by an R in the spelling, such as for, door, more, normal, Lord, war, New York. And then also, of course, most people in the US, Canada, would pronounce the R in these, for, door. Now, speaking of New York, people from New York, Boston, may not pronounce the R, for, door. You may have listened to Bernie Sanders, New York, who doesn't pronounce the R in all these. The long "aw" is not used in words like swan, salt, daughter, talk, caught, thought. So what do they do instead? They use the long "ah." Swan, salt, daughter, talk, caught, thought. Not only that, in most North American accents, the short "o" does not even exist. Instead of "o," American English accents would use the long "ah" there too. So instead of saying box, clock, hot, job, lot, etc., they'd say box, clock, hot, job, lot, not, possible, stop, boss, coffee, cost, dog, gone, my dog is gone, he's long gone, he's lost, I'm sorry. Now, in British English, wasn't and what would be pronounced with the short o, but these words are usually pronounced with in American English, and we'll get to First, a few words about the long though. It's a long vowel. The two dots after it indicates that this is a long vowel, There is no short except, well, we'll get to it. It's there's a different symbol for it. It's very often spelled with an A, as in father, bravo, drama. It can be spelled with an E, as in sergeant, or EA, as in heart. In British English, even AU, as in aunt, laugh. In American English, these two words would be pronounced with an A, aunt, laugh. Now, when there's the sound and an R in the spelling, the R would be pronounced in American English and many Irish and Scottish varieties as well. But the R would be silent in British English accent. Arm, art, car, card, large, market, pardon, part, regard, yard. When there's an A and an L in the spelling, the L is usually silent, such as in arms, balm, calm, palm, psalm. Now to the central monophthongs, and they may cause a little bit of a few challenges maybe. First of all, is short, and this is what you could think of as the short however, is long, and this one, is always unstressed. That's the main characteristic of this little upside down E. It's called the schwa. It's the only phoneme in English that has a name, schwa. Now, as I said, is quite similar to the Norwegian short in cut. So, all of these should be said with the short bun, butter, country, cut, double, dove, duck, front, glove, honey, love, luck, monkey, much, sun, sun, Sunday, tough, trouble. For some reason, Norwegians tend to make these into bun, butter, the or monkey, money, front. Note how all of these should not have lip rounding. There's no or o in any of these. It's the bun, butter. So let's dwell a little bit with then. It's often spelled with a U, as in gun, but, butter, or an O, mother, money, other, done, some, love, or double O, as in blood, flood, or OU, as in cousin, courage, couple, flourish, nourish, rough, tough, young. Notice the difference between the short and the short o. Now we're talking about British English. Duck, dock, nut, not, muddle, model, cup, cop. However, speakers of American English would go like this: duck, dark, nut, not, muddle, model, cup, cop. And here are lots of more words for you to practice. Done, none, sun, ton, one, one. Yes, one is really pronounced one. Front, month, London, Monday, honey, money, wonderful, onion, sponge, among, tongue, above, cover, oven, shove, come, some, comfortable, thorough, borrow, worry. You can work with these, and you can play a little game. My uncle went to London and he spent a lot of money he bought. And then you can add things as you go on, and you can play this with a partner if you want, or in class with your pupils. If you do, remember to go through both the pronunciation and the meaning. Many learners have problems with a cupboard. You don't pronounce the P, cupboard. A lovely butterfly, etc. Then, it's very easy to think of this as the Norwegian because they're close. They do resemble each other, but in English you should not have much lip rounding at all. So, a good thing to remember, perhaps, is to smile as you say bird, early, girl, her, nurse, pearl, sir, word, worth, world. And again, British speakers, many British accents would not pronounce the R. Speakers of American, Canadian English, and also many British accents, Irish, Scottish, would pronounce the R in these. The trick, though, is to remember to smile and to not say bird, early, girl, her. Again, though, if you do, it's fine. But you may want to be aware of that. Usually in English, you don't round your lips as much as we do in Norwegian. You can practice in a little rhyme. The earth is firm beneath my feet, the sun shines bright above, and here I stand so straight and strong, all things to know and love. The schwa, the unstressed vowel. The thing with it is to remember to use it. It's used in unstressed syllables and most weak forms. Here are some examples. Culture, matter, color, center. The stress is on the first syllable in these words, and the second syllable is unstressed, and this is where you use that upbeat, almost not audible culture, matter, color, center, measure. And in weak forms, and here is very often not pronounced fully. You almost swallow it. You say fish and chips, rock and roll, rhythm and blues, to be or not to be. Now these n, t are so-called weak forms. They're reduced forms of little function words, which are not very important to the meaning of a sentence. This is schwa. Schwa is not stressed. Schwa is cool. Be like schwa. We'll come back to this. English has strong beat and rhythm. Remember to use schwa. There was a young lady of Niger who smiled as she rode on a tiger, where he turned from the ride with the lady inside and the smile on the face of the tiger. Schwa can be spelled in many different ways. In weak forms, the, is, but, that, from, some, can, this, all of these little unimportant function words. And in unstressed syllables, of course, about, around, asleep, central, decorate, freedom, history, bonus, difficult, minus, academy, gallery, golden, operate, tolerate, system, family, possible, terrible, famous, dangerous. Then we've come to the diphthongs, and let's do the front closing diphthongs first. A, I, oi. They're front closing because it's the front of the tongue that moves towards the closer position in the mouth. The tongue, as it's said here, ends up in a quite close position. However, don't make those diphthongs too close at the end. Hi. Don't, or you can, but be aware that it's a tendency for us Norwegians to make the E too close. Hi, hi, hi. In English, this is much more relaxed. Hey, waiter, some steak, please. Are you crying? He's a boy. There's no need to make these very close at the end. Then the back closing diphthongs, then it's the back of the tongue that moves from a rather open to a closer position. Oh, ow. The main thing to remember here is the difference in pronunciation. We have no, so, low, go, throw, or there are many allophones, different varieties of this speech sounds. Some people say no, so, some say no, so, but the meaning would be the same. The phoneme would be the same. Then you have ow, now, how, house, noun. So again, the main issue here is to differentiate between the two. No, now. So, what's this boy doing? He's rowing, sound 1. There's a cloud, sound 2. This is a road, sound 1. This is a boat, sound 1. This is a toe, sound 1. This is a pound, sound 2. And this is a mouse, sound 2. Finally, a cow. How now, brown cow, sound 2. Finally, the centering diphthongs, or. These are especially relevant for speakers of British English because those would not pronounce the R after these. There's usually an R in the spelling after these sounds. Here, hair, beer, bear, weir, where, fear, fair, cheer, chair, rear, rare. Now, whether you pronounce the R or not, that's entirely up to you. Some scholars argue that these diphthongs don't even exist in American varieties or North American varieties because there's just a long E or a long A or a long U before an R. However, notice how in the system that is used in most dictionaries and in Norwegian school books, there is no such thing as a long E. So it's the or symbols that are used. As a final exercise with both weak forms, the use of the schwa and the and the and the I recommend that you listen to the Beatles, here, there, and everywhere. To lead a better life, I need my love to be here. There's a link in Canvas, so please enjoy the way the Beatles pronounce all these wonderful speech sounds just beautifully. Notice how I've underlined some S's. Nobody can deny that there's something there. She doesn't. But to love her is to need her. Knowing that love is to share, watching her eyes. And the voiced S's we'll deal with in the next film. So until then, have fun, enjoy.